Hello, real estate investors. Today we're going to talk about how to use Pellego to comp a property and to use Pellego to get an after repair value. Now, the first thing you're going to need to be able to do this is a property on Pellego, which you can find through the browse page like I did with this property in Everett, or you can search for it at the top by typing an address. In this case, we're working with 3719 109th Place Southeast in Everett. So if we were to go ahead and just, let's say, copy that address, and let's say you're on the home page when you first show up to Pellego, just go ahead and click here on the top, type in the address, and click on the appropriate property. It's going to pull up the property, and you're going to start on what we call the property tab. Now there's 5 tabs with every property. You've got your property tab over here on the left, your comps and ARV to the right of it, then the rehab tab, then the flip tab, then the rental tab. For the purposes of this video, we're going to be focusing on the comps and ARV tab. So let's go ahead and click on that. When you click on it, you're going to see 3 columns of information. On the left is a map. This is going to show you where all the comps are that you may or may not want to use. In the middle, it's going to be a deep dive on the actual comp that you're looking at itself. So in this case, it's comp number 1, which on the map you can see is this white selected comp right here. And on the right, we've got the after repair value tracker. So right now, Pellego estimates an after repair value of $451,500. As we go through this video, that number may change. Below that, we have our lovely advertisement, where if you have a question about this property or any property or buying real estate in general, you can go ahead and give our acquisition lead, James, a call at this number or fill out the form on any property page. So, on the left, the comp map. You already know that this white pointer is the property that we're looking at in the middle. The orange pointer is the subject property. That's this 3719 109th Place Southeast that you can still see here at the top. And you can see the picture of it over here and access those pictures if you want by clicking. And you can also get that from the center column over here and see the subject property in the top right-hand corner of the column. The green points on the map are the comps that Pellego predicts you will want to pick if you are a flipper. So if you're looking to renovate the property to a flip-like condition, also known as that after repair value condition, then we predict that these green comps are going to be the ones that you end up going with. So this is something that our computer algorithms have estimated and selected on their own. They've also selected a series of what we call honorable mentions, and so these are these gray comps, comp 7, comp 8, comp 9. These comps are comps that the system thinks are close, but just not as good as the first comps, numbers 1 through 6. In some cases, you'll find that there could be a comp in here that you especially like, and that you want to use that comp in the pool of comps that you end up going with. And there could be ones in green that you really don't like and want to get rid of. And we'll talk about that in a second. There are some tools at the bottom of the comp map to help you filter through the comps themselves. So you've got this show only, and then we've got a series of check boxes that you can make. So the included, we'll get back to that one. That's a little more nuanced. There's the show only flips. If you click this, it's going to narrow the map down to just the comps that actually were flipped or that the system believes were flipped. If you want to see all the comps again, we just go ahead and uncheck that, and the comps come back. There's also this Rambler button, so if you click only Rambler, then it'll bring you down to just the ones that are Rambler. And if you uncheck that, well, then you'll see all the comps again. So we got a lot of comps. Looks like some extra ones showed up in the honorable mention, so we've got a good list that we can go to if the green comps aren't enough. And if even the gray comps aren't enough, we have this advanced search that we can use where we pull up any property that was sold on the MLS in the last 12 months that you might want to search for. Now, I know what you're thinking. 12 months. I don't know. I heard you're supposed to use 6 months for your comp search parameters. Well, we've got some news for you. We've done some analysis of the situation. We've reviewed tens of thousands of known flips and tested out different comps against them to figure out which comps are going to be most predictive of that actual second sale price. And we found that if we actually extend our comp pool beyond 6 months and into the 1 year range, we actually get more accurate, more well-rounded after repair value. So long as we account for the fact that a year ago home prices were a little bit lower than they are today, and we adjust for that appreciation accordingly. But on a more of a conceptual level, it makes a lot of sense that you might want to see comps that go further back because the comp from yesterday is certainly more valuable from an information perspective than the comp from a year ago. But because real estate is such an imperfect market, it's possible that the comp from yesterday is actually an outlier. That the buyer that ended up buying that property that's right across the street that sold yesterday, they may have way overpaid for it compared to what the other buyers in the market are willing to pay. And so if you use that one comp as your only piece of evidence or as one of a few pieces of evidence, you're going to end up with perhaps a skewed perspective on what buyers are actually willing to pay in that market. So we recommend kind of zooming out on your comps, getting a bigger, broader perspective on what it could be, and then forming an opinion after that. So, and that's not to say that you need to go through every single comp here before you make a decision, nor is it to say that the best comps will be the older comps, because certainly, a newer comp with all else being equal is definitely something that we want to know about and something that we want to prioritize. As we go to the center column over here, this is where we get into the property by property breakdown of each comp. So over here on the left, you'll see we've got some subject property information. And on the right, we have information about the comp in question. So in this case, comp 1. So you can easily see how they compare. You can see that comp 1 is quite a bit smaller than the subject property. And lots a little bit smaller. So it would seem as if comp 1 is not quite as nice or doesn't have quite the potential that the subject property does. And we can see over here that it was bought for $258 and it sold for $380,000. And in part because comp 1 is smaller than the subject property, instead of thinking about the after repair value in the terms of $379,950, Pellego actually makes an adjustment over here to the left called the adjusted value. And this adjusted value is how much Pellego thinks that sales price matters, what the value is of the subject property given the differences in those features. And if you actually click on the adjusted value, click on that blue, you can see how that breaks down. So you can see that the comp sold for $379. You can see that when it comes to that finished square footage that we said is going to be a pretty big deal. You can see that we add $48,000 to the comp's sale price to get to the actual adjusted value. We've also added this for a stronger market, this $21,000, and that's because the comp sold in April 2016, and this is really important. The comp sold in April 2016, almost a year ago, and it's still relevant because we have estimated the appreciation between April 2016 and today. And so that's why we've accounted for $21,768 in market appreciation. Now, these numbers are automatically created by our algorithms. They're unique to each property. They're unique really to every street corner, every block. So they're going to be different each time. Where you come in is you want to look at this and think critically about, do you believe this? Do you think it should be should it be a more extreme adjustment? Should it be a less extreme adjustment? Are there certain things that you see here that don't really make a lot of sense to you? maybe maybe after looking at the pictures, you decide, this garage is really not fair to be removing stuff. But you can see these are pretty small numbers too. So let's say you're looking through these comps and you can click on the pictures, get an idea for what these comps look like. Think about how long this property is compared to your property. These properties are really long. Boy, a lot of floor space there. So as you click through these comps, let's say you get to comp number 2. This is also supposedly a flip. Has a bit of a different feel, but if you look through the pictures, you can see it's still got that flip-like quality that you might want to go for. And in fact, one of these might be more representative of the flip that you want to do. So this one sold for $418. Again, a little bit smaller, a little bit fewer in the baths, and if we want, we can examine that difference over here in the adjusted value breakdown. Now, as we're going through this, we might find a comp, let's say like this one, where this one feels like something about it feels really different. Maybe it's the style. It's not quite as long as some of the other properties. It's got that garage right out front sticking at you. Something about this comp just feels different to me, even if it's remodeled. And if you come to this conclusion and you don't want to use this comp, you can go ahead and click this thumbs down button right here. So this red thumbs down button, when I click that, it removes it from the green pool. So if I click on the map over here, if I click out of number 3 and click to number 1, you can see number 3 is actually in red. So you'll know that you actually you proactively turned that one down. It's not an honorable mention. It's not a suggested comp. It's kind of in between as a rejected comp. When you rejected the comp, something else changed, and that's over here at the top. This top right is this after repair value. So let me click thumbs up again. If you look on the right, the after repair value of $451,500 is there, and if you thumbs down the comp, that number adjusted. Now the original number is still there in this Pellego ARV at the bottom, but your ARV is based on the green comps that you pick. So if you want to pick totally different green comps, you want to thumbs down all the green comps, thumbs up all the gray comps, well then your ARV is going to be based on those new comps that you've thumbsed up and not on the old comps that used to be thumbsed up. This means that if you're trying to get an as-is condition, you can thumbs down all the remodeled condition properties, and you can thumbs up all the properties that are in the condition that you're actually thinking about from a value perspective. So that's the most of it. There's all sorts of other little details for you to explore as you go through this. Anything that's blue is something that you can click from the arrows to the numbers to this listing details that'll tell you how long it took that property to sell, what the description of it was. So you can actually dive into that and get that information. One small little nuance on the days on market of your comp. We have people who often ask us, should I be paying attention to a comp that has a really high days on market? And the short answer is yes. The short answer is that you are selling a piece of property where there will be buyers who look at your property and other similar properties. And just because the property you're competing with has been on market a while doesn't mean that they're not shopping for it too. In fact, I would argue that a comp with a really high days on market, when it sells, is actually indicative perhaps of a higher adjusted value, a higher after repair value, because when they finally accepted an offer, when they finally received an offer, it's conceivable that offer was a lowball offer, whereas if they had priced it more appropriately in the first place, they might have actually had a higher sales price. So I think when you see a comp that has a high days on market, that's actually might indicate a higher after repair value. But more importantly than the actual days on market, though, is the days on market since the last major update to the listing. So since the last price reduction, since the last going from pending to active status change, and you can see this in the history. So you can see that this one, it was listed on June 28th. On July 20th, it went pending. So this actually did take a little while to go pending, and that might be indicative of how long your property sits on market. And then it sold on August 11th. So notice that it actually sold for the list price. So you could argue that that means that they listed it at the perfect price and it just takes 30 days or 20 days to go pending. You could also argue that they were just really firm on their price and they happened to have that one buyer that really wanted it, and they kind of just went back and forth and settled on that price. It's really hard to know for sure. This is really where it'll be helpful to talk to your real estate broker, hopefully ours, hint, hint, over there, this guy, and ask them to dig into some of those, to do some calling around to the previous listing brokers in that area and kind of get an idea for what they sold for. But that's also the kind of thing that's going to become more helpful when you sell. From a buying perspective, remember that you're making a lot of offers. Not all those offers get accepted. The key thing you need to do is get to a point of making a confident decision and moving forward. And as you get closer to the buying decision, start getting that extra information. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, you can contact us at this number at the top of the page. We have emails throughout the website that you can find us on. We've got contact forms on our About page if you want. Our email in general is contact@pellego.com. We've got a couple different variations on that, so try something and we'll probably see it. And if there's a video that you want to see or a topic that you want us to cover in a little bit more detail, go ahead and just shoot us a message, and we will go ahead and review that and do our best. So happy investing.